A caltrop is an area denial weapon designed to stop the enemy. The caltrop is a sturdy, simple, yet effective weapon no matter its position. Its purpose was originally designed to stop elephant and donkey attacks. It graduated to stopping tanks. And now, the caltrop is your defense against propaganda, polished lies, and manufactured outrage. It's free from counterfeit credibility and synthetic truth. However, inside the walls of the caltrop, you're going to be forced to think. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, Mike Calderese is the caltrop.
Good evening and welcome to the Caltrop. Welcome to the Caltrop Watch Party. This is the first one that I'm ever going to be doing. You know what? I'm planning a very interesting show because we do have a lot going on with Pam Bondi firing back at some of these ridiculously idiotic senators and the whole nine yards. But in setting up this show, this New Jersey race is very important to me. It's very important to a lot of people that are in Brick or not, that are in my town, Brick, New Jersey, but also all over New Jersey. What has happened to New Jersey with the Democrats that have led the state forever? It's high electric bills, high fuel, everything is expensive. You have to make a lot of money in order to live comfortably, and it's a lot of the failed policy of all these people. So the governor's race to me is very important. So I welcome everybody. I know we're going to be a little bit behind the official broadcast of this, but what I'm trying to do here is I want to do a watch party with you guys. Let's watch the governor's race. I may pause it at times. I may discuss it during their breaks. I'll pause it and I'll do some commentary. We'll do commentary afterwards. If you want, I will put the StreamYard link out if you want to come in after the debate and give your thoughts on it as well. But we're going to take this and we're going to run with it. Let's see how it has. Let's add this to the stage. This is the first time I'm ever doing a watch party. Let's do this.
Why? We have an overdevelopment crisis in our suburban communities. We have an affordability crisis because of property taxes and electricity bills. We have a public safety crisis because we don't let our police do their jobs any longer. We have a public education crisis because we've watered down the public school curriculum. Tonight, I'll give you a plan and very specific policy proposals on how to fix all the things that makes New Jersey so broken. I look forward to tonight's debate.
All right, so obviously we're a little bit late. That was Jack's opening statement.
New Jersey. My name is Mikey Sherrill. I have a different kind of background, so I'll be a different kind of governor. Navy helicopter pilot, federal prosecutor, member of Congress, and mom of 4 kids. I am laser focused on driving down your costs, making New Jersey more affordable. I'm going to start by declaring a state of emergency on energy costs, make government more accountable to you, making it safer and more affordable, and ensure that I'm fighting for you.
All right. It is now time to turn to the questions, and we're going to begin with you, Congresswoman Sherrill. According to the World Population Review, it costs 14% more to live in New Jersey compared to the rest of the nation. And it touches on so many issues, including gas, groceries, and housing. What are 3 specific things that you would do to ease that burden?
I hear about this from voters. So that's why on day 1, I'm declaring a state of emergency on energy prices, freezing rate hikes. I'm going to take on the PBMs. Those are those middlemen that can drive up drug prices to 10 times, driving down your healthcare costs. I'm going to ensure that I'm taking on the landlords that are looting to drive up your rental prices. So quite frankly, we know my opponent won't do it because his number 1 owner is somebody who's actually under investigation for driving up those. Continue to fight for New Jerseyans, and my opponent just won't.
Mr. Chair.
Wow, I'm already on the
My
attack.
opponent has put forth a legitimate plan that isn't feasible. Even the governor, a member of her own party, has said that I don't really think you can do that. There are 77 Democratic legislators, 52 of which are on the one. I will pull a strategy. Regional greenhouse $1 billion a year for homeowners, tenants, and businesses. And it's been a failure. Electricity's at its all-time high. The air is no cleaner, and ratepayer dollars are going to states. We can provide summer fund day one. We also have to take care of the property tax crisis, something you won't hear my opponent ever talk about. We need a new funding formula in New Jersey. With a new school funding formula, we can have a more equitable distribution of state aid, and in so doing, reduce the burden of the school district. We also have other things that are driving the crisis in housing. We need more affordable housing. The way we do things driving is childcare, and I have a specific plan on how to relieve that burden for family young children.
So none of that is going to drive down costs for anyone here, and that's no surprise because my opponent has voted against over $1 billion property tax relief for people. He's voted to raise every government in which and he continues to pose different taxes on the people of New Jersey.
Okay.
Mikey's coming out on the attack.
Well, our rules are no rebuttals.
No double rebuttals. Yes, there's not the second one. But I'm going to go to you first, Mr. Tittarelli, and talk about property tax because New Jersey has one of the highest property tax rates in the country. We know more than $10,000 a year for the average person. Many residents remain limited by the federal government about how much they can actually deduct per year. Not long ago, as we all know, it was deductible. Now it's from that. Yet, would you lower New Jersey's property tax? It sounded like your opponent did not think you would.
We need a new school funding formula. Anyone who's from New Jersey will know that anywhere from 15 to 20% of your property tax is municipal taxes, 15 to 20% taxes, but anywhere from 60 to 6% could be the school tax. And those are the way we distribute state aid to our schools. We need a new school funding formula. There are other things that we can do to relieve the property tax burden. For example, make all property taxes deductible on the New Jersey tax return. Make all retirement, make them tax-free. Cap it at 1% for first-time home. Taxes on your federal tax return. That too lessens the tax burden. There's a number of different things that we can do. Also in that bill, there was a child care tax credit. There's a credit for private tuition, and it doesn't tax tips, overtime, or Social Security. The big, beautiful bill put more close to $5,000 in the pocket of the average middle-class New Jerseyan. She voted no.
So my opponent likes to talk about how he's from New Jersey, but anybody who's actually fighting for New Jersey would not raise taxes at every single level of government in which he served, voting to raise taxes. He's voted against over $1 billion in property tax relief. He's against tax relief for seniors, and he's for Trump's One Big Beautiful Bill, which would undermine the ability to deduct almost $30 billion taxes from New Jerseyans. So here's the thing. He says he's from New Jersey, but he's not fighting for New Jerseyans. In fact, I'll tell you, I just read an article the other day about how he's voted against even things like giving rapists parental rights. He's voted to give rapists parental rights for the victim of their rape. I can't understand how anybody who wants to be a fighter for New Jersey would ever do something like
From
that.
property taxes to rapists. Wow,
My
she's on the
opponent
attack
has been
tonight.
blatantly lying all throughout this campaign, saying they're going to raise the sales tax to 10%. It's a lie. It's not true. We're not raising any taxes in New Jersey. I've talked about very specifically how to lower the income tax and the property tax bill all across New Jersey. At the last debate, when she was asked whether or not she would raise the sales tax, her exact words were, "I'm not going to commit myself to anything right now." That doesn't sound like somebody who's trying to relieve the tax burden in New Jersey, and New Jersey has faced the highest overall tax burden in the country.
Okay, thank you both. Congresswoman, the Tittarelli campaign is asking for the full release of your military records. The National Archives, we know, say it's mistakenly releasing, and it did release, your personal information in those records 2 weeks ago. Since then, there have been questions about why you are not allowed to participate in the graduation ceremonies at the Naval Academy more than 30 years ago. Can you explain to voters why you were not allowed to participate?
Yeah, so I have addressed that. I've said, look, I didn't turn in some of my classmates so I didn't walk at graduation because I come from an incredibly accountable place. But I went on to graduate. I was commissioned an officer in the United States Navy. I held positions of trust throughout the Navy, both as a helicopter pilot, as a Russian policy officer.
Why are you dodging
as
this
flag
question?
aide to the Deputy Commander of the U.S. Atlantic Fleet during the Cole bombing and
Dodge
during
it.
9/11. I received
Dodge it.
numerous awards and commendations, held the highest levels of security clearance. But here's what I think really demands an answer: is why my opponent still won't take accountability for the release of those records. It's under federal investigation that a member of his team, someone he vetted to be his lieutenant governor, actually got access to those records, said he was shocked, and yet nevertheless shot them out to reporters. When he was asked about it, he acted as if he had no idea what his campaign was doing. So either he's really incompetent or he's lying.
Your rebuttal, sir.
Wow.
At the last debate,
Wow.
Mikey said that she was the most transparent gubernatorial candidate of all time. If she's so transparent, then approve the release of her disciplinary records at the Naval Academy so we can know why it is that she was punished. There was a cheating scandal in the early 1990s while she was. We know for a fact that she wasn't allowed to participate in the graduation ceremony. We know for a fact that her name was not listed in the commencement exercise program.
All facts.
She says it's because she turned in classmates. That's the honor code. Wait, that's not the honor code at the Naval Academy. You don't get punished for that. I think she was punished for something else. And so I think she needs to come clean. I think the people in New Jersey deserve an answer as to why she was punished at the Naval Academy. And she's trying to create a giant smokescreen for something the National Archives has taken complete responsibility for and apologized for with regard to a freedom of information request that was perfectly legal. The National Archives responsibility to apologize for what they did.
They're having a federal investigation right now into that. But look, we have a federal government under the Trump administration that has released paperwork on tons of people and their social security information. Seniors come to me all the time. We have a president who's told governors they have to turn over all of this information, things
Blame
like
it
voting
Trump.
records
Blame
and
it Trump.
license
When in
plate
doubt.
numbers. And we now have a candidate who's turned over all of my information to reporters. I'm certainly not going to open up my classmates' hundreds of records so he can rampage through them on a witch hunt. He should take responsibility. He should turn back those records in which he still holds.
Wow, bad answer.
Mr.
Bad answer.
Chitterelli, next question. Your opponent has criticized your connections to President Trump, who has endorsed you. Do you consider yourself part of the MAGA movement? And in this divided
Great
state,
question.
can you point to one major Trump policy that you support and one that you oppose?
I'm part of a New Jersey movement. We need change in New Jersey. We've got various crises that are raging across the state that are punishing the middle class.
This
The
is why
Chitterellis
you
have been
lose
here
Trump
for 100
voters.
years. 3 generations of Chitterellis have all owned their own businesses here. I've had the opportunity and privilege to serve at every level of government, terminating myself each time, more times than not taking the salary or the benefits. I know what's going on in the state of New Jersey. I know what it is that we need to get done. I agree with the president in securing the border. I think that was a matter of national security. And I've said I'll secure New Jersey by us not being a sanctuary state nor having sanctuary cities. I disagree with the president on the Empire Wind Farm off of Long Island. We hope that that doesn't mean there'll be wind farms off our Jersey shore. He's put a temporary halt on that. I will make it permanent when I'm governor. But let me be clear. No matter who it is that's in the White House, my job is to stand up for the 9.3 million citizens of this state, and I will. I will fiercely advocate for them at all times. But let me also say this, that in times of need, it's best to have a relationship with whoever occupies the White House.
I would hammer him
will.
over this answer. I would hammer him.
He's shown zero signs of standing up to this president. In fact, the president himself called Jack 100% MAGA, and he's shown every sign of being that. He said it's his job to support the president of the United States. I think as governor, it's the job to support the people of New Jersey. I've taken on anyone and everyone, including powerful members of my own party, to fight for people here in New Jersey. Jack won't say one cross word about the president. Even when he froze Gateway Tunnel funding, Jack said that's not a New Jersey problem. Well, I beg to differ, as do the over 200,000 people a day that ride that rail system into that tunnel. Especially, too, that get 100,000 jobs again. It'll cost us a day to Jack stand up to it. He's even said that Jerseyans should take on a little bit of pain for Trump's tariffs. I don't think so. I actually think we should fight those tariffs, and as governor, I'd join the lawsuit to do just that.
Mr. Chitterelli.
It's interesting, when the pandemic came, our governor, Phil Murphy, who never had anything nice to say about Donald Trump, went down to the White House, had a very nice conversation with him, and got the respirators we needed because our ERs were on overloaded. People were dying. It's important to have a relationship. And a relationship means respectfully disagreeing when you believe the president's wrong and agreeing to get things done on behalf of New Jersey. One thing that I will do, because New Jersey's been a donor state for decades, is I will harness the energy of our congressional delegation and bring more money back to New Jersey.
We've got a follow-up for both
Jack's
of you,
really
and
doing
we each
bad.
have about 15 seconds to answer. And we'll
Jack's
start
really
with you,
doing
Mr.
bad.
Citarelli. What grade would you give President Trump for his second term?
What
Right
grade?
now, I'd certainly give the president an A. I think he's right about everything that he's doing. He has secured the border and the economy. We've got inflation is much lower than it was when Joe Biden was in the White House, and particularly because he's done specific to New Jersey. Temporary halt on the winds on New York Democrats over the Gateway over congestion pricing plan, and quadrupling the SALT deduction.
Congresswoman.
Amazing. I think that tells us all we need to know about who Jack Citarelli is supporting. I'd give him an F. Right now, we see at every single level, costs are going up on New Jerseyans. So whether it's the tariff costs that are costing you more from everything from a cup of coffee to the groceries you buy for dinner at night to the one big beautiful bill which will raise health care, energy, and housing costs.
While we're giving grades, we're going to continue it, I think.
Are you going to
with
let
30
her
seconds
get
to
away
answer.
with this,
Congresswoman,
Jack? Good
what grade
Lord.
would you give to Governor Murphy?
I'd give him a B. There's things like paying for the pensions, the 9 increases in our credit rating that I like, but overall I think there's ways Trenton could do a lot better, being much more responsive to people. I'm going to have a culture shift at Trenton. I'm going to make sure that we have more accountability in government, driving down costs for people. I also think with the crisis, there's more we need to do to build houses, transit-oriented development, to make sure we can drive those costs down, and then our rail system. I'd fight harder for more infrastructure to make sure more people can get around the state easily.
Mr. Citarelli.
Bill, it's an F. This has been the worst governorship of our lifetime. And the reason why a number
Ida
of significant
Costin.
Democrats all around the state have endorsed my candidacy is because they're feeling another 4 years of Phil Murphy's policy failures. Take a look at what's happened in New Jersey. We have an affordability crisis because of property taxes, electricity rate, housing, and child care. We have a public education crisis because we watered down the public school curriculum. We have a public safety crisis because we don't let our local police do their jobs. And we have an overdevelopment crisis in our suburban communities because of high-density housing. It's been a failure across the board, and we need change.
Good job. That's his best answer of the night right there. Best answer of the night, Jack. This is how you have to be.
I believe.
Is it to me?
Yes.
Is it to you? I don't know. Is it to me, huh?
Number 5.
Is this what we're going to do?
Congressman
Yeah,
Cheryl.
well organized.
Actually, no, and you're right, Bill. It was me.
But I'll take it anytime you want. It's
No,
okay.
I love this question. Congresswoman, we
No,
are
you're
in
right, my
a
fault.
government shutdown. Democrats say this is to protect against Medicare cuts and rising premiums. Republicans argue you should fund the government and deal with everything else in negotiations.
What is this called?
Why
What
is
does
a
this matter?
shutdown with workers furloughed and programs stopped better than doing that?
So I think we've seen at every level cuts to affordability for working people. So we've seen these tariff cuts, we've seen these healthcare costs, we've seen hikes on utility costs as we go forward with the One Big Beautiful Bill.
It's your party.
And now they've taken away healthcare in the One Big Beautiful Bill for millions of people, and they now want to cut healthcare support for people who still have it with the markets, the Affordable Care Act markets. That's what we're fighting for. And so right now with the president, with the Senate, and the House, all in GOP hands, the fact is they've got to work to reopen government so workers can get back to work and we can continue to drive down healthcare costs.
You're in Congress right now.
Mr. Citarelli.
Work to reopen government? When there were shutdowns during the Biden era, she voted every time for the continuing resolution to keep government, get it open again.
There you go.
This time around, with Trump in the White House, she's voted no on the resolutions to keep government open. I hope the shutdown ends within moments. I hope it ends tomorrow. We've got 22,000 New Jerseyans that are being furloughed because of the shutdown. But this is what happens in Washington, D.C. The job of a governor is to get things done. I have relationships with people in the legislature. We'll be able to work together to get things done. I've heard a number of times already tonight that President Trump seems to be responsible for everything that's wrong in New Jersey.
There we
I
go.
don't know
Thank
what he
you.
has to do with our property taxes. I don't know what he has to do with our electricity rates, the failure of our public school system, the failure of our public safety across New Jersey with handcuffing our police, the failure of overdeveloping our suburbs. He doesn't have anything to do with all those things. So as I often like to say on the campaign trail, if you get a flat tire tomorrow, get ready. She's going to blame it on President Trump.
I know he likes
Good
to
job.
accuse President Trump from everything because that's who he works for, basically. But here are the facts.
Bad answer.
1 in 3 children are on Medicaid. Where there's going to be about a $5 billion hole in the budget because of Trump's cuts to Medicaid. He's cut off funding for some of our innovative power as we're facing utility crisis. It's going to drive up costs for families by hundreds of dollars. We've taken away Title I funding for our schools, driving up our taxpayer rates. So that's why I'm fighting that. But make no mistake, I'll also fight Trenton to bring down costs for families.
Okay, thank you both very much.
Follow
I'm
up
going
with
to
that,
take a question from one of our media partners. It's for Mr. Cederelli, and you'll have a chance to come back afterwards. This is from Univision. Here's Ana Patricia Camdiana.
Mr. Cederelli, in our recent Univision town hall, you spoke about a path to recognition for undocumented immigrants. What exactly do you mean? Are you referring to a path to citizenship?
I support securing. I believe there was a matter of security. I think it's my governor to keep the state safe, and we'll do that by not having sanctuary cities in our state, nor will we be a sanctuary state. I've been very, very transparent about that. I think that only encourages illegal immigration, and it does restrict our local police in certain ways. And if a local mayor and police chief want to work in partnership with a federal agency to keep their community safe, I think they should do so. I've said that. Anyone who came here for criminality, came here illegally, came from a history of criminality in their country of origin, has to go back. Anyone who came here illegally and has committed crime or has scammed our government assistance program since coming here has to go back. I believe that everyone else should be put on a pathway to recognition. This has been my position. And pathway to recognition means something so we don't have people living in the shadows or working under a falsified social security number, which isn't fair to those who do it. So the answer to this, very specific answer to her question is a pathway to recognition.
Way to redefine
That's not
it.
really a real thing.
Way
That
to
doesn't confer
redefine
any
it.
status to anyone. So that's why, standing up here, I'm incredibly concerned about safety. I'm a federal prosecutor. I'm the only person on the stage who's prosecuted a violent criminal and deported. So I care deeply about that. But I've always been for comprehensive immigration reform, as have many people. We got very close, even with some very conservative members of the Senate. And that involves securing our borders, creating a pathway to citizenship for DACA recipients, TPS recipients, people who are working and paying taxes. Having that pathway could be so helpful to our economy. So that's a very clear answer to this. I think Jack works to say anything he can to anyone. But at the end of the day, he's always going to do what Trump tells him to do.
She's on the attack right now.
The Congresswoman has been anything but strong when it comes to public safety. In Congress, she voted to get rid of qualified immunity. This is the bedrock of protection for local law enforcement. She has said that she's considered reappointing the current Attorney General, who's considered to be the most anti-police Attorney General we've ever had.
Oh, he's a
She's given
mess,
some kind of
that
weird
guy.
endorsement of Mondami. Mondami has endorsed her. I called on her to renounce that endorsement. Josh Shapiro, the
There you
Democratic
go.
governor of Pennsylvania, has denounced Mondami, as has the congressman in the north. And this is somebody who's been also anti-police. We want our community safe. We need a governor, an attorney general, 21 county prosecutors, and a superintendent of state police who will keep our community safe.
There you go. Good answer
The
by
next
Jeff.
question goes to you, Congresswoman Cheryl.
Good answer.
Political tensions are at a high, and there are true fears in the public about political violence. We recently saw the assassination of Charlie Kirk. In this state in 2020, a judge's son was killed in a political attack. Are there concrete things that you can do to help bring people together without fear?
Yeah, that was horrific. That's a judge I practiced before, and we worked incredibly hard at the federal level to get Daniel's Law so that we could actually get resources into the federal judges to keep them safe. But we've seen a continued uptick in political violence, and that is never acceptable. It really undermines, I think, our democracy and the idea that people want to come forward and serve. And I worry very much that with this kind of political violence, we are going to see people trying to step away from public life. So here in New Jersey, as governor, I will always work to make sure everyone is safe, to ensure that people can speak freely and yet not face political violence. I've worked at every level to do just that, whether it's on college campuses, with our presidents of universities to ask how they're keeping students safe there. I've also worked throughout the state to make sure that in our district, we are listening to all voices. I've heard from people on all different sides of the issue. They are always welcome to have discussions with my office.
Mr. Cederelli?
Since the time that the congresswoman is declared for governor, she's missed 90% of the votes in Washington. But a few Fridays ago, she skipped out of two very important joint appearance in New Jersey to get to watch the Charlie Kirk resolution celebrating his life. I applaud her yes on that vote. When she came back to New Jersey and caught hell from the left, she issued a statement condemning Charlie Kirk, calling him a misogynist and a racist. The two things are inconsistent to me. The way to tamp down the hateful rhetoric is by having the right kind of leadership in place. I've always conducted myself in a respectful way when I disagree with people. I'm never going to tarnish the name my parents gave me, and I'm never going to have 4 children. I've always been respectful with my rhetoric, and I think that that's more important than ever. New Jersey is the most diverse state in the country. I think there's power and beauty in that. We embrace it. I embrace it. And who follows me on social media sees everywhere I go, and I mean everywhere, because we're all in this together, and I will represent all 9.3 million New Jersey citizens.
All right, how about we get to a question actually on New Jersey?
In 15 seconds, if you could.
I do. So that resolution was a resolution standing up for free speech and standing against political violence. And I do feel very strongly about that. I also feel very strongly that despite the fact that Charlie Kirk had a right to say a lot of things, I deeply disagreed with them. In fact, when I asked my opponent if he could disagree with Charlie Kirk saying Martin Luther King was a bad guy or that women should be subservient to their husbands, he could not. So I think it's my right to speak out as well against things that I disagree with.
Okay, thank you very much. We want to get to
You cannot
this
let
next
her
question.
misrepresent Charlie like that.
As we've
You
seen
have
all
to hammer
seen,
him on
there
that.
is
Have
no
to hammer
shortage
her.
of problems on New Jersey transit. No shortage at all. And in the past week, we have seen, and it was mentioned today, the Trump administration funding and thereby delaying construction of the uber-important Gateway to connect a third tunnel between New Jersey and New York City, a crucial tunnel. What response with Mr. Ciarelli?
So the bad news is I hope that it ends any moment, if not tomorrow. The good news with regard to the Gateway project, which is critically important and a quintessential governmental infrastructure program, is that the Gateway Commission is what funds that project. And then the Gateway Commission seeks reimbursement from the federal government for their end of the deal. The construction is not stopping. This shutdown would have to go on for 2 or 3 months before the Gateway project would grind to a halt. We have to fix New Jersey Transit. And I'm proposing something you've seen in other states. Put all of our mass transit systems under one roof. The Garden State Transportation Authority. Atlantic City Expressway produces revenue with its tolls. Parkway and Turnpike produce revenue with its tolls. New Jersey Transit produces revenue with its fares. Put it all under one roof, one management structure, better accountability, better transparency.
I like
I'll
that.
fill in the blanks with the subsidy from state government, our state budget. That's the dedicated revenue stream to fix New Jersey Transit.
Congresswoman,
Good answer.
So
like it.
this is not tied to the shutdown. This is simply the president saying he's freezing the Gateway Tunnel funds, which she should not be able to do. In my administration, I take him to court over it because those are congressionally appropriated funds for Gateway Tunnel. I know this because I've tooth and nail to get those funds in place. And so for my opponent to sort of brush off that these funds are frozen, these funds that, as I stated, can lead to about 100,000 jobs, that when we run out of money will cost us $1 million a day. We already have shovels in the ground. We are already moving forward on this. Our communities have gone through summer of hell after summer of hell after summer of hell. How do I know? Because my husband Jason takes the tunnel, and he has had trouble getting home from work, had to call me to go pick up our kids somewhere, or because he was going to miss an event that we had. So again and again, this is impacting people's lives. It's impacting their ability to work. And that's why I will constantly make sure New Jersey and taking care of the New Jersey commuter.
You have 30 seconds, sir.
You'll hear generalities and platitudes. The specific question was regarding New Jersey Transit. Here's what we need to do. Every single train and bus line needs to be reevaluated for ridership. If there isn't adequate ridership on every one of those lines, we have a tough decision to make. I do think we should dedicate our limited resources to those lines that provide the greatest value to the greatest number of commuters. It's time for that kind of reevaluation, but we need a new management structure. This administration, which he has supported through and through, had 8 years to fix it. They failed.
If I may, because my opponent likes to put out misinformation, the specific question was about the Gateway Tunnel project, which you failed to answer.
I thought it was New Jersey Transit in part as well.
I brought that up just officially. I have my thing right here. We talked about it, but I said, Mr. Trump, stop the funding about this tunnel.
And I did answer that. Okay? The Gateway Commission gets reimbursed by the federal government for the continuation of that. You would need a shutdown for 2 or 3 months before the shovels stop working.
This doesn't have to do with the shutdown. This is the president freezing those funds inappropriately.
It's a negotiation that's taking place with the Congress.
With the people of New Jersey and their commuting at
There's a
stake.
negotiation that's taking place with the Congress.
I think
Yeah,
the
that's
two
what
of
happens.
you have
People
stated your
negotiate.
positions and you're not changing. We're going to take a short break. We'll be back in just a minute.
All right, so I'm going to test something out really quick, all right? I want to see. Answer me in the chat. Can you hear me talking right now? Answer me in the chat. Can you hear me talking, please, if you can? I'm going to give it about 30 seconds. Some chimes in, and then we'll get to it. Let me pause this really
Good evening at 11 o'clock.
all right, that way I could kind of try to get all my juice. I apologize if it's lagging here. I'm kind of experimenting, honestly, guys. Right now, I'm experimenting. So, let me know if you could hear me. If I have a feeling that you probably can't. All right, so let me know. Did I go quiet there for a second? Because I'm testing things out. I don't want to have that running in the background. So listen, this is my take on this. So, I think if you're looking at it, I think it is a good sparring back and forth by both people. I think Jack early on wore a couple of attacks from her. I think she looked much better early on. I think Jack caught a little bit of a footing, like in the middle of it, had some really nice lines. But if you ask me, they're going back and forth. Now, what I haven't heard anything about is I haven't heard anything a lot about New Jersey. I hate when these moderators do this. They take these national issues and they make them New Jersey issues, because this is the type of format that's geared to helping Mikey Sherrill. If you can't see what's going on right now, everything the way this is framed is geared to kind of help her, just because of what I said before. I don't like the fact that Jack is letting her get away constantly, and he finally addressed it midway into that first volley right there. He's letting her get away with too much of putting the cost on Trump and the tariffs and the shutdown. He's letting her control that narrative a little bit. He let her control it way too long, and then he had a really good line afterwards. I wish he would have shut her down early, and he used that like much earlier. He seems to be going on a little bit more of an attack. It's interesting watching the misframing of everything. So again, he let her get away with the Charlie Kirk thing. I would have hammered her on this. How dare you talk about a dead guy and then misrepresent what he said? If you're going to say something like that he wanted his wives to be subjected to or subjective to the man, you have to listen to his whole what he's saying about a structure of a family. And he wasn't talking about being subservient, as in like a slave way, but that's the way she framed it. I hate when they let them get away with this type of stuff. But overall, so far, I'm gonna put this guy back up. Let's see if they're back. Let's check to see if we're back here. It's gonna pull
And
up.
that's the best type of education to make.
Overall, I
sure
think
kids are
pretty good
reading
so
at
far.
appropriate grade level.
The mental health crisis, for sure. When I was a Somerset County freeholder, we created a community mental health center so people can have easy, convenient access to high-quality care. I want to work with our 21 counties of government to do the exact same thing in all 21 counties. I, too, am very, very concerned about the public education system. We've got school districts where 80% of the kids are not on grade level for reading, writing, and math. Who has school choice? People with money. People with money can send their kids to private school. People without money do not have school choice. So if their school system is failing, I will provide them choice. My opponent will not. Voucher system like we've seen in Arizona, Ohio, and Florida. Charter schools, they've been very successful here in New Jersey, but only been approved in years' time. We need to provide educational choice where districts are failing, and we need to pull a high-impact curriculum like we've seen in places like Louisiana, and Mississippi. A high-impact curriculum. If your child is behind grade level in reading, writing, math, they'll spend the entire.
I guess. Let's see. Am I slowing out now too? Sorry, guys. I apparently have Verizon Fios, and I guess I don't. I guess I don't have it as good as I do. I got to get this hardwired. I really have to get a full setup. I'm still kind of in the makeshift setup from the baby over here. But from whatever reason, I don't know what's going on. We seem to be frozen. Let me try pausing it and hitting play.
This
There
because
we
I
go.
both worked at the U.S. Attorney's Office with law enforcement to
Sorry
keep
about that,
people
guys.
safe,
It's a
and
work in progress.
I've also worked in
For whatever reason, it looks like my internet's just going in and out and in and out and in and out right now.
And when you look at the threats, and then you see the president saying when he was with Hegseth recently that he's going to use our U.S. cities as training grounds for our military, that is unacceptable. I will not stand for that as governor.
Mr. Chitterelli.
Pam, I've told the president and the people of New Jersey they'll never have to worry about New Jersey because as governor, we'll have safe communities, and here's why. I appoint the attorney general. I appoint the 21 county prosecutors. I appoint the superintendent of the state police, and we're going to be a law and order state again. We do that by not having sanctuary cities, and we do that by reforming bail reform. Cashless bail has created a professional criminal in New Jersey who's learned how to game the system. Talk to your local police about arrest, release, repeal. My opponent has not said a word about getting rid of sanctuary cities, the Immigrant Trust Directive. She's not said a word about reforming bail reform. Yet cops will tell you all the time that this is one of the things getting in the way of keeping our communities safe. So again, the president won't have to worry about these things in New Jersey. My attorney general, the head law enforcement officer, the 21 county prosecutors that report to that attorney general, and it's all the police chiefs that report to those county prosecutors. We will be a law and order state again, and there will be a consequence for unruly, unlawful behavior.
30 seconds.
You know, I'm the only one who's actually worked closely with law enforcement prosecuting cases to keep dangerous people off the streets. I'm very proud of my record there.
I'm going to try a different.
License plate readers, federally funded, drive down the rash of auto theft. So again and again and again, I've worked on public safety, but he misunderstands what's going on in this country if he thinks these National Guard troops are being positioned in the most dangerous cities. They're not.
Mr. Chitterelli.
May I?
30 seconds.
What I'm worried about is what I can control. What I can control is public safety in New Jersey. She worked.
It's got to be something going on with my modem because I tried a different. I tried a different one, and it doesn't want to. It doesn't want to go right now. It's kind of bothering me. I apologize, guys. This is like I said, this is kind of a work in progress. If we're being honest, I didn't know. I've never really done a watch along, so that's kind of the reason why I wanted to even do this here and see if we could do this. But for whatever reason, it does not want to. It does not want to go in. This is going to bother me. So, listen. I don't know what are you hearing so far. If you can, do me a favor while this is buffering or doing whatever it's doing. Go ahead and put it in the chat. What do you think is happening right now? Who do you think is winning from based on the limited stuff that you've heard? And what are your impressions? And if you want to get in and talk about it, we will get in and talk about it. Let me try to get completely out of it. And I guess we'll try to redo this. New Jersey governor gubernatorial debate 2025. Right? Is this it? Nope, you guys gonna watch me do this. ABC. It was ABC. Let's see if we get back in it and see if that does the trick here, guys. All right. Now I have to do this again. Sorry. Let's see. Screen share. Screen share. All right. Here we go. It looks like it's up. This one. Okay.
Working with some of the worst offenders and saying that opioids were safe, putting out propaganda, publishing their propaganda while tens of thousands of New Jerseyans died. And as if that wasn't enough, then he was paid.
There we go. All right, that's how it's going to be.
Easily get
Sorry,
access
guys.
to opioids. And so as he made millions, as these opioid companies made billions, tens of thousands of New Jerseyans died.
Mr. Chitterelli.
First of all, shame on you.
There you go.
Second of all,
About time.
Shame on you, sir.
shame on you. During the Biden administration, she had no problem whatsoever with tens of thousands of people crashing our border each and every day, not knowing what impact they had in our communities with regard to fentanyl crisis, fentanyl abuse, fentanyl distribution, vaccination rates, and the like. Talk to your local police, talk to your county prosecutors in New Jersey. Since the border's been secured, fentanyl crisis has decreased significantly. She supported those open border policies. But with regard to everything she just said about my professional career, which provided my family, it's a lie. I'm proud of my career.
You get 30 seconds.
I'm happy to publish the information. And here
I'm
are the
sure you
facts. I work because I think our kids deserve better. I think the people you got addicted and died deserve better than you.
Addicted
And I'll
and died.
tell you, yeah, tens
Wow.
of thousands here as you published misinformation, as you got more people addicted, as you worked to develop, got paid to develop an app so that more people could get more opioids and die.
I
But
got to
here's
walk
the
at my
fact.
college graduation.
Even during, even,
I got to walk at my college
as you
graduation.
said, and I'm so glad that you then went on to kill tens of thousands of people in New Jersey, including
I
children,
never broke the
as
law.
they got.
I
You
never
just
broke the
broke
law.
the
Wow.
law. In fact, your campaign right now is under federal investigation for how you
No,
illegally
you've
got
broken
access
the
to
law.
my records. So to say that right now, and I think you're trying to divert from the fact that you killed tens of thousands of people by
You
printing
broke the law.
Wow,
your
she's accusing him of
misinformation, your
killing people?
propaganda, and then getting paid to develop an app so that people could more easily get the opioids once they were addicted. Families across the state deserve to know more about that.
Mr. Tutorelli, you get 15 seconds.
The difference between me and the Congresswoman, I got to walk at my college graduation. I've never broken the law. She had to pay federal fines for breaking federal law on stock trades and stock reporting.
Truth.
And the New York Times reports was trading defense stocks while sitting on the House Armed Services Committee.
I think you get 15 seconds now.
This is the same old misinformation that he continues to promote because he knows that I don't trade in individual stocks. He knows I've gone above and beyond that. He also knows he promotes some garbage number, but
Bullshit.
he actually knows so much about my finances because they're all to the dollar. But here's the other thing. What he never learned, despite walking at his graduation, was accountability, integrity, care for the community. And I think that disqualifies him.
Tam,
Thank you both. Thank
she
you both.
released 2 years of
Yes,
tax
sir.
returns the years after she paid the federal fines. I've
You
released 12
released
years.
She
yours
paid
even
federal
before the last
fines,
debate
period.
because you knew I was going to call you on it.
Paid
Let's,
federal
move on,
fines,
to
period.
Some of the, interesting,
Getting desperate.
some of the
Getting desperate.
some
Good
of the
job.
issues that people in New Jersey are thinking about, and we're going to switch it pretty drastically here. Both of you have been critical about the high cost of electricity.
I think
in
Jack's
New Jersey.
right. That's a desperate
I would
move.
like you to tell us specifically, and all the viewers watching, how you would lower prices and perhaps bring in sources of alternative energy, which I think, based on my business days, business school days, we could increase supply and lower prices that way. Ms. Cheryl, please start it off.
Sure. So, you know, we have an alphabet soup of agencies in this state who have kicked the can down the road and then dumped the extra cost on the ratepayer, which is why on day one of my administration, I'm going to declare a state of emergency on utility costs and freeze rate hikes. I know my opponent laughs at it and doesn't actually want to address the utility crisis or the families that are suffering, but on my watch, I am stopping this. This is not acceptable. I'm going to drive in an energy arsenal of power as we drive costs down over time, making sure we build out our solar, our battery storage, improve our gas generation in the state, and then develop nuclear power. We need to make sure we produce here because let's face it, the PJM market, which he's called some small nonprofit, while numerous bipartisan governors across our region are demanding better, our market is screwed up and it's driving up cost here. So if we
Your party
produce it
cut
here
all
at
those
home,
things.
we can drive down those energy costs.
Already cut all those fucking.
Sir.
77 incumbent Democratic legislators, many of which have been in the legislature for a long time, 52 of which are on the ballot this year. Not a single one has endorsed her plan. Not a single one has embraced it. Governor of her own party went on TV and said, I don't think you can do that. It's an illegit plan and it's not feasible. Let's talk about, since we have seconds here, how we got to this point. Phil Murphy shut down 6 different electricity generation plants,
Yep.
put a moratorium on natural gas-fired electricity generation, didn't expand nuclear in South Jersey, and didn't accelerate solar on the rooftops of all the warehouses that have gone up, which is prime real estate for solar arrays. The DEP slows down the permitting process every single time. Here's what I'll do as governor. We've already talked about pulling out of RGGI. Regional Greenhouse Gas Initiative has been a failed policy. Electricity is more expensive, air's no cleaner. We can save $300 to $500 million a year. That's real. I will reopen and repurpose the plants that were shut down. I will lift the moratorium on natural gas-fired electricity generation. I'll expand nuclear in South Jersey and accelerate solar on the rooftops of warehouses.
So Politico
Very
just
specific
recently
answer.
called him out for his misinformation, saying it was on his watch that many of these things were shut down, including a nuclear power plant. And so I will tell you, if you want the same old, if you want the failed policies of old, you can vote for Jack Ciattarelli. But if you really want to see your energy costs go down, if you want to see innovation, if you want to see new ideas against the status quo, then I ask for you to vote for me.
Mr. Ciattarelli, next question. Do you support enshrining the right to an abortion in the state constitution as your opponent does?
I've always supported a woman's right to choose, and I said yes to that question back in 2021. What I don't support is celebrating abortion the way the current administration does. What I don't support is making New Jersey the abortion capital of the country, inviting other people from other states to come to New Jersey and have their abortions performed. I don't support that, let alone use taxpayer dollars to do that. I also support something that my opponent does not, parental notification. In the state of New Jersey, you can't get your ears pierced under the age of 18 without the permission of your parents. But we're not going to notify parents when a 16 or 17-year-old is having an abortion performed? I think that's terribly wrong. I've yet to find the most liberal, maybe with one exception, of women across the state who support that policy. So that's where my position has always been on abortion. I've supported a woman's right to choose.
Congresswoman.
So again, he's peddling misinformation. You know, I don't think he knows what's going on in the state, or he's willfully ignoring it, or in this country.
Every question's an attack.
You know, we're hearing stories across the country about horrible outcomes, like Portia, a woman in Texas, who went to the emergency room as she was miscarrying, 2 young children at home. As she was miscarrying, they gave her multiple transfusions, but because of abortion bans like the one my opponent's proposing, the doctors were afraid to give her a DNC or an abortion to save her life. So she died in an emergency room, purely preventable, could have been taken care of. But when you put in place things like my opponent has suggested, people die. We also have the fact that when he was last in office, he voted to defund Planned Parenthood. So these are not pro-choice positions. I know he's getting up here to tell everyone what they want to hear right now as he desperately tries for the 3rd time to become the next governor of New Jersey, but this is not credible. Abortion bans, defunding Planned Parenthood, those are not a pro-choice position.
Mr. Ciattarelli.
We're not Texas. Any woman whose pregnancy is in trouble, whose health is at stake, they will be able to have their abortion performed safely by competent clinicians to protect the woman's health. We are not Texas. With regard to Planned Parenthood, the question I've always asked the Democrats in the Trenton is, why is it they get 100% of the money? Why is it we don't send any of the money to pregnancy resource centers like Lighthouse in Bergen County, for example? I don't think that's fair. Let's distribute the money equitably.
And it's time now to go to another question from our media partner, Univision. This one will go to Congresswoman Sherrill. And here again, once again, is Ana Patricia Candiani.
Congresswoman Sherrill, New Jersey's all water pipes are failing, causing frequent water main breaks and sinkholes in our communities. Fixing the issue is estimated to cost $24 billion over 20 years. Can you commit to fix this problem, and how would you fund it?
Yeah, so we have had water main problems throughout New Jersey, and I've worked to drive funding into it. We need a combination of federal and state funding to address these breaks. While I've been in Congress, I addressed the lead pipe remediation in Nutley and Belleville, making sure that we had safer pipes. And we've seen we have some of the oldest water infrastructure in the nation, which is why it's critical we replace it, but very expensive, which is why working with the delegation, our federal delegation, to drive in federal resources to this is going to be the best way to remediate the problem, but also continue to drive down costs for New Jersey families.
Well, you need federal funds, but you're going to fight Trump, huh?
I'd like to get back to the 3 pillars of all state governments in all 50 states. It's always about public safety and education, public safety, if you will, public health and safety, rather, public education and infrastructure. And here in the state of New Jersey, our infrastructure is in demand. We saw it recently with a major pipe break in Patterson with a 100-year-old pipe. I was there. The current governor wasn't. My opponent wasn't. But I was there to talk to the businesses and residents who were without fresh water for 2 or 3 weeks. This also represents a magnificent jobs program in terms of improving our infrastructure all around the state. And so this is the kind of thing that gets me very excited about being governor. Not only improving a critical infrastructure program, but creating jobs along the way. We have to do it. We have pipes that are now 100 years old. In some cities, we have pipes that are delivered, they're wooden pipes that are delivering the water. I also have conversations with those municipalities that have their own water utility. I think it's time for them to have a serious conversation with selling that to the water companies who have the capitalization to improve the infrastructure.
Congresswoman Sherrill.
So again, I think infrastructure is such a key thing. And that's why I've fought for it since the minute I've been in Congress. Water infrastructure, our rail infrastructure, making sure we have better buses across the state. And at every turn, my opponent's turning a blind eye when we see cuts to this infrastructure from the federal government. So the recent freezing of the Gateway Tunnel funds by Donald Trump that my opponent said wasn't a New Jersey problem is just the latest example.
Okay. We're going to move on to another subject.
She's got nothing
we're going to talk about schooling.
but a tax on him.
We're going to start with Mr. Chittarelli. We all know that all of our futures depend, all of them, on the education that young people are getting. How do we level the playing field and fix schools in New Jersey, especially those in lower performing districts, so all kids,
What does that even mean?
who are the future of all of us, get a top-notch education?
So, Bill, in the post-pandemic world here in New Jersey, we have not compensated for all the learning loss that took place because the governor shut down the schools for 2 years. Think about this for a second. He opened up the nursing homes, where we led the nation in nursing home deaths, but closed the schools for 2 years. And we haven't compensated for all that learning loss. Here's what I've said all along. We've slipped from 2 to 12 on the national report card. You're never going to hear me say something my opponent likes to say often. We've got the best school system in the country. We do not. You take out the top 10% performers, which skew the results, it's a whole different story. 50% of the incoming freshmen at every one of our 19 community colleges, are taking remedial courses that don't even qualify for college credit. We need to do what Mississippi and Louisiana did. High impact curriculum. If your child is behind grade level, that's all we're going to focus on, the critical life skills until they are. But I'm also going to provide school choice. My opponent will not, because she's owned by the teachers union, who does not want school choice. No vouchers, no charter schools. I will provide educational choice.
Congresswoman?
You know, I think it's interesting how he keeps citing places like Louisiana and Mississippi. I think some of the worst schools in the entire nation. If that's where he wants to drive us to, I think voters better be aware of that. Because I'm going to make sure that we are driving in better results for our kids. And so one of the few things my opponent and I seem to agree on is learning loss is a huge issue. The difference is, as he's been a perennial gubernatorial candidate, I've been actually working to address that. It's why I put in place high-intensity tutoring, a federal bill. I've worked with the state legislators so we could do it at the state level as well. Make sure we're addressing learning loss. Ensuring we are addressing third grade reading. As governor, I'm going to make sure we're teaching phonics to our teachers. That is the best way to help students learn reading, and I've discussed how important that is. Driving in better mental health resources to our students and passing the Kids Online Safety Act, which is going to help all of our students have a better experience, better mental health, and better outcomes.
Sir?
I'm going to repeat something I said earlier in the evening because I think it's one of the things that differentiates the two of us very, very much, but also reveals one of the hypocrisies of the Democratic Party that wants to portray itself as the party of the marginalized, disadvantaged, and minorities. Who has school choice? People with money. They can pull their children out because they have the wherewithal to send them to private school. Who doesn't have school choice, particularly in failing school districts? People without the money. I'll provide them choice with vouchers and charter schools. My opponent will not.
We're running out of some time, but we're going to make up for it right now. We're going to move to 30-second response to this.
30-second
Mr. Chittarelli,
response.
We'll start with you. When he was elected
Let's
president
go with the
last
lightning
year,
round.
Donald Trump gave a speech saying he would ensure freedom of speech to Americans. Forward to 9 months later, many Americans, many of whom live in New Jersey, are questioning whether freedom of speech is now shrinking in this country or even getting taken away. What would you say to those people who worry about this?
Number one, I can't control what other people say. Number two, I won't be afraid to step up from the people in New Jersey every day of the week if something is taking place that disadvantages them in any way, including their constitutional rights. And there will be free speech here in the state of New Jersey. I appoint the Attorney General. I appoint the county prosecutors. I appoint the Superior Court judges. We'll have a law enforcement community and a judiciary that respects people's constitutional rights every day of the week.
Congresswoman.
So I've taken numerous oaths to the Constitution my whole life and fought for those values enshrined in it. I will always protect free speech in this state. I do worry that there are rollbacks going on, and I actually worry very much about something my opponent just said, that he'll appoint the Supreme Court judges. I think there's 2 upcoming judges, and my opponent has said he's going to remake our New Jersey court like Trump remade the Supreme Court.
That's a lie.
I think everyone who's worried about free speech should be very worried about my opponent being in office to appoint judges.
15 seconds.
I've never said that. What I've said is that I will appoint Supreme Court justices that agree with me on issues like high-density housing in suburban districts where there's no infrastructure, and who agree with me on school funding. I've never said what she just said. I said it's another lie.
Justices that
All right, we're
agree
going
with
to take
him is a
little
terrible
turn.
answer.
We're almost to your closing.
Terrible, Ed. That's
15
terrible.
seconds on each of these, a little bit more fun. And this one will be interesting. We'll start with you, Congresswoman Cheryl. What is something you appreciate about your opponent?
So I really appreciate that his son is serving.
Mr.
I
Chitterelli.
appreciate her military service.
Anything else?
You bum.
Yes,
You
anything else?
bums.
Okay, we'll move on. Congresswoman Cheryl, what is your favorite
Can't
place
even say
in New
anything
Jersey?
nice about each other. You bums.
Montclair. It's where my home is. It's where I've raised my kids.
Everything wrong with politics right there.
Chitterelli.
Raritan, New Jersey, Somerset County, where my grandparents immigrated 100 years ago.
What is something about you, Ms. Cheryl, that most voters do not know?
Oh, let's see. I think my favorite things, and I've learned this over time, is going to my kids' sports games. I used to dread it, but now I really do enjoy that.
Mr. Chitterelli.
Getting up Sunday morning and making the gravy. And I want to be transparent, Tam. It's gravy, not sauce. It's macaroni, not pasta. But the meatballs, the braciole, and the sausage will be in the pot, and we'll have a Sunday dinner together.
And finally, do you support, Congresswoman Cheryl, a lot of pump your own gas?
No, I really enjoy, I've come into New Jersey on fumes from Delaware, especially when my kids were little and in the rain, so I think a lot of people really love our state laws as they are.
Mr. Chitterelli.
We have too many dubious distinctions, Tam, and I'll fix a great many of those, but one of our special differences here in New Jersey, we don't have to pump our own gas. Jersey girls don't like to pump their own gas. We'll continue to have full service.
What is the thing that you think you'd like to have to be the top brass in this state? What do you want to do the first day you're in office that no one's thinking about? Start with you.
I want to join the court case against the tariffs that the president's implementing right now. That's one of the #1 things I hear about as I speak to thousands of New Jerseyans, is how these tariff costs are raising everything from a cup of coffee to the groceries they buy to make dinner at night.
Sir?
Lower your energy costs on day one with Executive Order number 3. We're pulling out of RGGI. The Regional Greenhouse Gas Initiative is a carbon tax policy that has failed New Jersey.
Both of you, thank you for those answers and what's happened in the last 55 minutes. We now have reached the end of our debate time, and it's time for each candidate's closing statements. The candidates will each have 1 minute for their closing statements, and we're going to begin with Congresswoman Cheryl.
Thank you. Shipmate, self. It's a saying in the Navy. It means the mission comes first. It means the sailors come second, and as a leader, you come last. That's the kind of governor I'll be. And you know, the ship is New Jersey. Our mission to drive down costs for families. And I will be a leader who serves everyone, no matter who you are, where you live, or who you voted for. And as I've gone around this state, spoken to thousands of our neighbors, I've heard again and again, we want a great state where we can raise our families. We want our kids to have a shot. We want to make sure we're safe and healthy. And so that's the kind of governor I'm going to be. Those are the things I'm going to work on. And I have to tell you, I know too many people think it's too hard right now. But I believe, despite the chaos, despite the challenges, we can be better. We can do better. And so if you vote for me as your governor, I would be incredibly honored, and I will work every single day to be worthy of that mission.
Mr. Chitterelli.
My opponent has based her entire campaign on a stack of lies about me, her disdain for the president, and that's not going to fix New Jersey. What we need are solutions here in New Jersey. Her party has controlled the legislature for 25 years. They've had the executive branch for the last 8 years. Can anybody honestly say that things are better off today than back whenever? If you want change, you have to make a change. If my opponent is elected, nothing will change. It'll be more of the same, only worse. The Chitterellis have been here for 100 years. 3 generations of Chitterellis have all achieved their American dream right here in New Jersey. And so when I'm asked why am I running for governor, it's very simple. I want today's New Jerseyans and future generations of New Jerseyans to feel confident they can achieve their American dream here in New Jersey. We have an affordability crisis, a public education crisis, a public safety crisis, and an overdevelopment crisis in the state. And tonight, I put forth a plan. Very specific ideas, solutions, and policy proposals on how to fix New Jersey. I hope to have your vote.
You have both made your cases, and we thank you. We thank you for letting us do this part of it, and you made your points, and we appreciate that, both of you.
Thank you both.
Okay.
Thank you.
And that brings us with this, the end of our debate. We want to thank the candidate.
Like I am muted. Look at me, like a bum. Sorry, you guys thought so. All that stuff I just said, very interesting. First off, let me say this: ABC is ass. I mean, that was interesting. The way that was completely unbelievably set up for Mikey Sherrill. But let me get to that in a second. You guys said no volume. I hear you. No volume. Blah blah blah. I apologize. There's a lot going on. I was trying to get out of these things, and yes, I was coughing in the background. I want to interrupt everybody. But what I said was, if you want to get on the show, message me, put it in the chat, and I will get you on the show. If you want to give your thoughts about it, and certainly comment. I'm going to try to get all the feeds up. If you're watching me on YouTube or Facebook or Rumble, comment your thoughts on that. Who do you think won that debate? Who would you vote for, Mikey Sherrill or Jack Ciattarelli? I mean, and did that debate sway you at all? I know I just gave you a lot of homework and a lot of questions to answer, but I would appreciate your take on it. So this is my take on hearing it. And if you haven't noticed, I have like 4 pages of notes here. I was jotting down some of the things that I thought were very interesting. So let's start here. Everybody in the chat, really appreciate you guys. SJ Brienne X. Love it. That's a new name. I love it. She said mostly. She was right on top of it. ABC is about to start. She was like, let's go, man. It's about to start. Come on, kick it into gear. You're running behind. I apologize. That's all me. Mama Duke, Shake Calda. It's Johnny69 are in the chats. Big E McD, all you guys. That's in my Rumble chat. Let me know what you think. Everybody. But here, this is what I think. Number one, ABC, that was complete ass. That was 100% set up totally for Mikey Sherrill. How many questions are federal questions versus local questions? You would have thought you were watching a damn presidential debate, or they were like the vice presidents or something like that with some of those questions. You only had 3 or 4, and it came at the very end, like Jersey-specific questions. Nothing about affordable housing. Nothing about the problems that actual people in New Jersey are fighting for everywhere in Ocean County. What I was looking for is what's your plan on this affordable housing? What do you want to get out of affordable housing? Are we going to be buying up farms and turning them into those big giant stacks of homes? Is this what we're planning for this state? Not one of those type of questions. No, what do we get? We got Trump. We got the shutdown questions. You had that one guy that was like this. It was like, oh my God. It seemed like he didn't have any planned questions. He was just off the cuff, just ripping them, and he couldn't think of good ones. That was he was one of the most irritating people I've ever. I mean, he said something. What was it? Let's see if I could reference my notes here, because this guy said something about Trump. Oh. He brought up Trump and then said, is freedom of speech shrinking, implying that it's shrinking under Donald Trump? If anything, I think freedom of speech has exploded with Trump. No matter what. We were censored. Now all of a sudden I haven't been kicked off of YouTube. I haven't been kicked off of Facebook. Facebook brought me in and said, hey man, we'll pay you a couple bucks to do what you're doing. Before, I used to get banned nonstop. Now all of a sudden I could speak somewhat. I mean, they've been letting me, so I could rip. I could do whatever I want. But that's how, I mean, so Mama Duke says Jack all the way, Jack all the way. I think, listen, if we start off in the beginning, I put real in like bold. I put what is laser focused. One of the things that bother me about these people is they use these ridiculous sayings, and Mikey Sherrill is one of them. She uses that, well, I'm going to make sure. Well, I'm going to make sure. I'm going to be laser focused so I make sure that we're going to do this, this, and this. And like Jack said, it's platitudes and it's ridiculous. It's when you hear what she said, there was a couple times when she got specific and she was like, if you ask me, when she got specific and she was on the attack on Jack, were kind of her best moments at first. And then it seemed like every question she was attacking, she wasn't answering a lot, she was attacking Jack. And then would answer, but every question, there was an attack, and then there was a follow-up attack. And every follow-up attack, Jake Held said it earlier, why do they get to let her answer every time they give her a rebuttal? And she's the last one to speak. It was like that for a little bit. And they just let her hit him. And Jack early on was taking the shots, was not punching back. He was trying to be, he didn't want, it looked like he didn't want to get sucked into it. Tell me if you saw the same thing. Seemed like he wanted to try to stay above it. He stayed above it the last debate. They didn't really go after each other. And this one, it seemed like, you know, Mikey clearly feels, I think, under pressure. If you were to look at that debate and you tell me which one was cool and calm and collected and which one wasn't, and which one was under pressure, which one would you say? Because I watched that debate and I go, wow, Mikey Sherrill was 100% desperate. And I was thinking desperate, and Jack Chittarelli at one point says, seems like you're getting desperate. It was a great time for her. Because yes, when she hit him early, it was like, okay. And Jack, you're letting her get away with this. Why are you letting her get away with this? Why are you letting her put New Jersey's cost increases on Donald Trump? Why are you even letting her get away with that? He let her get away with it for 2 or 3 questions. And let him hit him on it again before he finally had a really good answer. I don't know why he let her do that. I guess he's trying to stay magnanimous and he's trying to be, you know, whatever, the nice guy. I don't see that working out. She came to fight. I mean, she clearly came to rumble. She was throwing haymakers all night long, swinging wildly. Like a drunk chick at 2 a.m. fighting, you know, her boyfriend's ex-girlfriend. Just swinging. That hurt. I worked all day. But it's interesting. Let's see if there was anything. So we had Jack Chittarelli had affordable houses. They asked one question that was very interesting. So the first question they asked, I thought, was actually a good one. It says, what were the 3 things to ease the burden of the soaring costs, right? And one of the things that Mikey Sherrill keeps saying is freezing the rate hikes in New Jersey. It's really easy to say that you're going to freeze it after you let them just raise it. Oh, I'm going to freeze it now until it's time for them to raise it again. Then we'll raise it 2 years from now. But I'm going to freeze the rate hikes even though they just jacked them up 20, 30, 40% on people. I know my heating bill was like $70 more expensive a month. And we're on the budget. And the budget went up $70 a month somehow. I don't know. We used to get money back. Now we don't. But freeze it now? It's very interesting watching these Democrats. All their answers to these rate hikes are government involvement and government freezing something. That's not the answer. You can't just step in and say, oh, I'm going to freeze. Then just lower them. Why stop at freeze? Just say, hey, no, these are going to be the rates. You have to charge this. Oh, well, that's lower than what it costs us to make it. Well, too bad. So sad. Deal with it. I just make the decree because I'm Empress, of New Jersey. Just going to freeze them. Sugar pen, freeze them. I mean, to me, that's Kamala-ish. That was her answer for everything. We're going to freeze everything. Yeah, I'm just going to write a pen and we're going to freeze it. And then she takes Trump's. Then she took Trump's plan, if you notice that, and so we're going to get rid of some of the middlemen for health insurance costs. That was very interesting. Jack addressed affordable houses. What would you do to lower property taxes? Now, this is very interesting because Mikey Sherrill ran on things that aren't typically Democrat, and we're running on things that Phil Murphy absolutely did not do. So she's clearly running away from Murphy's policies, even though she gave him a B. But she talked about getting more gas and then starting up more nuclear, investing in more nuclear. Well, that is anti what Phil Murphy has done in the state. That's one of the reasons why we have the electric bills that we have. And then we gambled how many billions of dollars on offshore wind. And that's a complete and total utter failure. It's the most expensive form of energy that you could possibly have. We had legit whales and dolphins washing up on our beach when they were doing the sonar. Then magically they stopped doing the sonar, and I didn't hear about it this year. Oh, it was just a natural phenomenon that we had dolphins and whales washing up on the shores all up and down our beaches. And it was multiple times a week I was seeing these things happen. And one of my friends' wives was losing her mind over it. And all of a sudden, since all that stuff is halted, it's back to normal, which was you don't hear about these things washing up all the time anymore. Coincidence? I don't know. But she ran, I mean, if you think about it, she ran on a little bit of an anti-Murphy platform. It was very interesting. And Jack told her to stop lying. This is when I guess Jack started heating up. Let's see if I go through some of these questions. Why can't then they asked the participation of the classmates. If you ask me, Mikey Sherrill does a very good job when she has to defend herself. The fact of the matter is she 100% paid a fine for some type of stock trading. That's fact. She won't deny that. Fact, she definitely did not walk. Now, according to her excuse, she says that she failed to rat out classmates. Now, I'm not gonna read it to you, but we have a very high-ranking naval officer that watches this program. A lot of you guys know him as Jersey Abe. And I asked that man, is this a big deal? And he said in the Naval Academy School, they're supposed to, the reason why that's like a rule, that if you see somebody doing wrong, you turn them in because it's your integrity that's on the line. And you have to have the people that are leading the people in battle and making these decisions to be the utmost integrity. They can't even be breached. That's why they have that in their code. And she was 100% disciplined for something. And everything that Jack said matches up. These are all facts. When you look at her, when you look back at her record, I think he did a really good job of hitting her there, and she doesn't do a very good job of this. Now, this is where Jack starts fucking pissing me off. Before I get to that, Jay Calda said Jack had a much better demeanor. She is a typical Democrat, lie and attack. I mean, listen, Jack 100% had a better demeanor. I like. When I'm thinking about it in my head now, I see the way it all played out, and I saw the way she started looking and the way he maintained his composure. And then he did start attacking a little bit more. I think, listen, Jack Ciattarelli for these last two debates, I think it's been the best that I've seen him. I'll say that. But this is where Jack pisses me off. And he tries to thread this needle that doesn't need to be thread. You don't go for Trump's full endorsement and then run away from MAGA. And he ran away from MAGA in 2020. And it's one of the reasons that cost him the election with Murphy. I've told everybody this for a really long time. If you want to know what happened in 2020 on why Jack lost, it's a number of different reasons. Everyone hated Murphy. It was during COVID. He was one of the biggest tyrants of them all. And Jack lost because he ran away from January 6th, called us all insurrectionists. He was out there running away from MAGA, running away from Trump. The election denying stuff, everything. And then lo and behold, he went on to lose with late night ballot dumps. But I digress. He got asked today the question, Jack, do you consider yourself MAGA? And he dances around the question. You sought after Trump's full endorsement. You sought after it while you were bad-mouthing Bill Spadea. While I was watching day after day after day, attack ad after attack ad on Bill Spadea. Then you got Trump's endorsement, and in order to get the Republican base behind you, you went full MAGA during the primary. And I get it. Now you're in the general. You're trying to play this middle, and I say it all the time. You're the Republican that all the real conservatives hate. You're the rhino. You danced around it. You gave Mikey Sherrill an opportunity to look at you and say, I'm 100% MAGA. Or he's 100% MAGA. Why not just take it from her? What's up? I got wifey in here. Yes? I'm on the show, yeah. Oh, I guess she's looking for something. So why not just take it from her? Why not say, well, she calls me 100% MAGA. How about this? I love, if you really want to endorse, like dance around this question, I have the full endorsement of President Donald Trump and his MAGA platform. If you don't want to say I am MAGA, that's how you dodge it. You don't dodge it the way he did it. But what's the problem with saying, yeah, I'm MAGA? What is wrong with Make America Great Again? And God forbid you defend the MAGA platform a little bit, because that's what you're espousing. Your whole platform is Trump's MAGA platform for New Jersey. What you're giving me hand signals? She's like doing hand signals. I don't know. I don't speak. You're giving Navy. She's giving Navy signals. I only know Army signals. But when he does that stuff and he tries to thread that middle needle in the way that I don't think it needs to be thread, I think for everybody that's a hardcore MAGA person that's sitting there watching that and they're going, why am I going to vote for this guy? Oh, just because I'm voting against her. I don't think that's going to move the needle. You've done everything to align yourself with Trump during the primary. And then when it comes time to say, are you MAGA? You can't even say yes. Or if by MAGA you mean this, then yeah, I'm fully MAGA. That's what MAGA means to me. What does it mean to you? Toss it right over to her and start attacking her with it. Why is she framing Make America Great Again and everybody that's part of MAGA to be terrible, horrible people? This is where I loathe what he does. He constantly runs from the concept of MAGA instead of proudly saying, yes, this is what MAGA means to me. Because it obviously means something to him. Half the stuff you said was straight out of what is good for Trump in the nationwide politics. You're running a Republican platform. You need MAGA voters. Republican is Trump now. And if you want to turn off a bunch of Republican voters that are hardcore Trumps, that's the way you do it, Jack. That is the way you do it. Mikey's bitch ass. What are they? Oh, Mikey Sherrill's bitch ass. Chitch Johnny 69 says Mikey Sherrill's bitch ass. Jay Callis says, let's be real. The governor cannot freeze what a business charges. Yeah, a governor cannot freeze what a business charges. Absolutely. What are some other questions that they had in this just absolutely horrible? What do you grade Trump? Now, this was very interesting. And sorry, in that last question, Mikey Sherrill put that on him, and then she said it was going to be her job to fight tariffs. And then it said, what do you grade Trump? Of course, Jack gives him an A. So you ran away from, you dodged the MAGA question, and then you say I give him an A. Then you're full MAGA. This is the thing. These things bother me because it's like, you ever take that test where they ask you a question and then they ask you another question, then another question, another question, and then like 6 questions later, it's the first question, only it's phrased slightly differently, where they want to see, are you going to be the type of person that answers it one way this way and another way that way just because of whatever reasons? Or are you going to be consistent like, oh, no, I'm answering the same way because it's the same question? That's what he did to me right there. So Mikey Sherrill immediately goes and says she gives him an F because she blames all of the cost increases that we've experienced over the bunch of years. That's all Trump's fault. Yes. You heard that correctly, everybody. All the electricity rates that skyrocketed at the beginning of this year, that was all Trump's fault. Our gas prices being high, that's all Trump. That has nothing to do with all of our gas taxes and all the percentages here and carbon tax this and all the other. No, it has nothing to do with any of that. It has nothing to do with any of that spending. And I should have an on-air sign outside so people stop walking in the room. But yeah, Jack let her get away with it. Anything else that we have? Oh, Pathway. This is an interesting part of this because Jack Ciattarelli, once again, when you want to talk about playing the middle line, these are the things where if I'm like watching it as a New Jersey voter and someone that's very critical of this stuff, I get upset about stuff. So Jack answers this one with they asked him about, should there be a pathway to citizenship? And Jack made a long, drawn-out speech. And at the end said he wanted a pathway to recognition. A pathway to recognition. What is that? What is a pathway to recognition? These things don't make any sense. Just say, yes, I am for a pathway to citizenship for kids that, for example, that have been brought here and they've been here for 18 years and they're illegals, or somebody that has potentially been here for 20 years and they turn themselves in and do it right. Can we somehow not deport them and just get them into court and get them? Is there a pathway for some of the really good people? Because there are a lot of people that are caught up in this that really are good. So don't we want them contributing to society? I don't think it's so crazy to say yes. But you get the rabid sides of these people like, oh my God, he's for a pathway to citizenship. I mean, what do we want to do with a kid that's been brought over here when he was 7 and now he's 27? Are you throwing him back to Ecuador if he's gone to school and he has a job and all this other stuff? Is this what we're doing? I don't know. Doesn't make any sense to me. Doesn't make any sense to me. But a pathway to recognition. These are the things that Jack does and that just drives me crazy. And it's funny because in everything that I have she's attacking. So right underneath the pathway to recognition, I go, she's attacking. And then I wrote, good substantive debate so far. They're not asking many questions about New Jersey. Listen, I do think it was a very good sparring back and forth with all these people. I don't like that he let her get away with misrepresenting Charlie Kirk. You know, what are you going to do with that? Then she goes on. We were having some very, very technical issues. I want to go back and listen to this part, but she went on a heart attack and I want to see how she looked overall with it, but she went on a heart attack about somehow blaming Ciattarelli to people's deaths in the opioid crisis. I mean, if you're gonna go there with this debate, they have to be concerned. Now, I've been saying Mikey Sherrill's going to win by 4 points regardless. And then I thought the Charlie Kirk thing cost her a little bit. I think the last debate cost her a little bit. I thought it was still going to be a 2-point race for her. But the way she came across with that attack when we did get back seemed desperate to me. It seemed like they're in a fight or flight mode. And they chose to just fight. And they're backed into a corner. And her claws came out. I'll take it. But somehow she says she's going to lower energy prices. I don't. Maybe you guys could help me understand the Democrat platform. And this is why I say that the Democrat platform has never been to lower energy prices. It can't be. You cannot have climate change initiatives and low fuel prices. You can't do it. They do not work hand in hand. They do not come together. You're either going to have climate change or you're going to have low energy prices. You cannot have both. Because if you force everybody to electric and you only have one form of energy and somebody can, like 2 or 3 companies control this energy, and AI is going to be sucking up the most of it before we even realize it. What are they paying towards it? But when there's one form of energy, are we going to have lower prices? Where has that ever taken place anywhere in the world? When the one company or 2 companies or 3 companies or whatever they are, but if you have one source of power, they're going to be able to charge whatever they want, period. So I hope people see these. They're just blatant hypocrisies. You cannot be a part of the Democratic Party right now and say that you are going to do anything to lower energy costs. You absolutely 100% can't do it. Especially with how you're increasing the demand without increasing the supply. Tell me what liberal economist says that's a smart idea. I don't know. I digress. I digress. Yankee 68 says, everyone checking in from the Legion. Sorry not listening live, but wanted to drop in and say hi. No worries, my man. Well, Mike saying you're MAGA in New Jersey is a death bell. Jay Caldas says saying MAGA in New Jersey is a death bell. I don't think it is. I think I disagree with that. If you're voting for Mikey Sherrill, you already hate Trump. You already hate him. That's a gigantic number. But the fact of the matter is, MAGA and Trump showed out in gigantic numbers during the presidential election, to the point where it swung from an 18, 19-point presidential run in 2020 in Biden's favor by 18 points. And I think he lost by 4. That's a huge MAGA turnout. And where Chitterelli makes the mistakes is that he's relying on those people that are in the middle to outweigh the people that are MAGA. And I don't think if you frame what MAGA is, and he could easily do so. If you mean by MAGA, I want secure borders. If you mean by MAGA that I want low energy prices, low fuel prices. If you mean by MAGA that I want to have safe streets in every single one of our cities. If you mean by MAGA that I'm going to love this country, love this state, and serve the people and do what is good for New Jersey, if that to me is what MAGA is, yes, then I'm full MAGA. I'm 100% MAGA. The question is, what version of MAGA is she trying to portray? And it's the negative one, because she's obviously vicious and on the attack right now. Now, obviously, I could sit back here and who knows what I would have said in that debate. I hope I would have had a hell of a lot better answer than that. But let's do this. Anything else that we have there? Because I think I almost kind of beat this thing to death. Yeah, she gets back to the make sures. Oh, the Kids Online Safety Act. That was very, very interesting. Well, one more thing about Mikey Sherrill. Let me crush her for a second. During the lightning round, it said, "What do voters not know about you that they should know?" She said, "I think the thing people should know about me is, well, I really do love the sports games with my kid. It used to be something that I dreaded going to." I love it. Thank you. Hey, everybody. Something that you might want to know about Mikey Sherrill is that she dreaded going to her kids' games. Dreaded going to them. Hated it. I bet she was the one. She'd be on her phone the whole time and then go up to the coach and be like, "Why is my kid not playing?" Asshole. But that's what she said. That is that's Mikey Sherrill. Oh, I love it. I love it. Mikey Sherrill, I guess, on her final and on her final or closing statement, she said that one of her main priorities is going to be driving down costs. If anybody believes that line of absolute horseshit, I don't even know what to tell anybody at this point. I really just don't. It's Jack Ciattarelli said it best in the debate. He says all she has is platitudes, and another word that he used for it. And it's just, I'm going to make sure, and all these things that she says, there really is no substance. I'll tell you one thing I did love about Jack, and I'll wrap it up about this. A lot of his answers were very in-depth. They were in detail. A lot of them were very, very, very good. Like, very good. Especially when he starts talking about like school choice. And what was the other one? The emergency, how are you going to lower energy prices? His answers about how are you going to lower energy prices were absolutely phenomenal. It was get the plants back. We have to make, he said, solar warehouses, make rooftops on warehouses have solar panels and have them pumping that back into the grid. I think that's a great idea. I don't understand why we're not putting them over our parking lots. That type of stuff makes sense to me. If you do very simple construction, these, footings, boom, you put them up. Doesn't seem like it's a lot. Doesn't seem like it was expensive. Those things make sense. Putting them on roofs of warehouses, that seems like it makes a lot of sense. Get back into nuclear. Sounds like it makes a lot of sense. Whatever we have, what makes electric? Start it up. Everyone get their generators. If I got my generator and started pumping it back into the system, would that help? Whatever we could do, I think that's what we have to do. But listen, man, one thing's for sure. And Jack finishes up with, she's got lies and not solutions. And I think that's very well said by Jack. And he says, if you want change, you have to make change. Now that I agree with. Now listen, I'm gonna tell you my stance on all these guys. Take it for what you want. I guess we'll give the Caltrops official endorsement in the NJ gubernatorial race. I got to go Jack Ciattarelli on this. And admittingly, I don't like Jack Ciattarelli. I don't. Now, I've never met the man. I'm sure he's a lovely man. I'm sure we'll get along. He's Italian. I can get along with Italians great. I'm sure he's a very nice guy. I don't like some of his politics. I don't like the middle road he takes. I don't like the standoffish with MAGA. I don't like a lot of it. I think he's the rhino Republican that we all don't like. But what we see in New Jersey is communism. I mean, that's what we're seeing. So any break to that, I think Jack has been a politician long enough. We know what to expect out of him. It's not going to be too crazy, but he's going to pull back the reins on a lot of the outright ridiculous garbage that's being pushed on us. And I think he is definitely a way better step up than Mikey Sherrill is. Mikey Sherrill, to me, is the most disgusting form of a politician. I think her integrity is in question by her naval record, and she stands on that. But if you were disciplined and you didn't walk, that says a lot to you for Naval Academy School. Then to pay the fine, and then to say some of the outright lies that she said, especially when she went after Charlie Kirk. She started off that sentence really good with, there's things I don't agree with him on. Great, stop there. But when you start using examples and the examples that you use are not very good, you look like an asshole. I don't think Mikey Sherrill has helped her with I don't think she's helped herself with anybody. I think the far left is definitely not going to be happy with her gas statement. I think the far left is definitely not going to be happy with the nuclear comment. And I don't think they're going to be happy with that overall performance, if you ask me. I mean, they'll be happy that she attacked. She made herself look like a strong woman. I think that's about it. I don't think she gained anybody on the right. Certainly not. I don't know what moderates are going to look at that and like it. I think was very off-putting to them, especially if they stayed to the end. Who knows? If they just watched the first 15 minutes, they might have said, "Oh, she's killing him," and turned it off. So I don't know. I really don't know. It's gonna be very interesting. But To me, Jack represents something I don't like ever doing, is voting against another candidate, not loving who my candidate is. But I guess that's in the position that we're in. We're in that just world where you have two candidates and you don't like either one of them. So what do? You choose a lesser of two evils. I do think Jack is that guy. But all right, guys, that's it. I know it was a different show tonight. I had a whole show planned. But I'm going to be honest with you. I wanted to watch that debate, and I was not going to be able to watch that debate and put the show together and actually do it justice. So I figured, let's try something new with us. Let's do a little watch party. Watch this along. Found some hiccups. Let's see. I learned from it. Let's put it that way. That's certain things. I think I have good connection now. Seems like we have good connection now, but it is what it is. But thank you guys very much. I really appreciate it. I love it if we would obviously finger my like button. If you want to see more of this stuff, send me a message or email me at mikec@centercutmedia.com, mikec@centercutmedia.com. Be sure to like me on all my Facebook channels, YouTube at Center Cut Media, or Mike Calders, my Facebook page. My Facebook page is legit going off like I've never experienced. I'm not paying for it or anything like that. I have new people joining every single day. It's very interesting. They seem like real people too, not like some of the bots on other channels. But it's just very interesting watching all this stuff take place. So of course, follow me on Mike Calders on my Facebook page. That's where I've been putting a lot of stuff up and stay up to date with that show. That's where I put all my announcements on. Oh, we had some comments. Let's see. Who won a debate, champ? Who won the debate? What clown? Jersey is communist now. Now we defending a white supremacist. Yeah. So who won the debate? I guess I'll answer that question. Joe PD or whatever it is. Now we're defending a white supremacist. I love these people. I love you guys. Who won the debate? It's really tough. Overall, I think I would give it to Jack simply because Mikey didn't stop attacking. So if I had to say who won it overall, I would give it to Jack. But I do think Mikey scored a lot of points. I definitely think she had points where she did well. She sounded well. She made a couple things where Jack just let slide. So when she makes points that he lets slide and doesn't counter in any way, she obviously scored some points. She landed some gloves on him. She came out swinging. She did her thing. I mean, she fought. It was representative on both sides, and it wasn't bad. So I give Mikey Sherrill credit, but Jack Chitterelli, I think overall came out on that. Those were the YouTube comments. I love that guy, Ja PD. Well, thank you guys very much. I appreciate you joining me. I really appreciate it if you could share this, share all the stuff that I do. That's the best thing you could do is help me out and share everything. When you guys share it, I think I get into the rhythms. My views get way higher. So I really appreciate every one of you guys that have done that for me. And by all means, the best thing you could do for me is take that finger and just the tip of that finger my like button. And I would really appreciate it. It would turn the algorithms on to me. And that's all you have to do is finger my like button. Thank you guys very much. Really appreciate you. The Cal Trop is out. Later.